Hello and welcome to Prairie Pulse. Coming up a little bit later in the show, we'll highlight Dickinson bronze sculptor Linda Little. But first, joining me now from Minot, North Dakota, the president of the Norse Kuss Fest, David Wrighton. David, thanks so much for joining us
Well,
today.
thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
I introduce you that way because that's probably the only title you've got left.
Yeah.
But tell the people a little bit about your background and what you used to do and where you're from.
I was born in Jamestown, North Dakota, and I grew up in Minot, North Dakota. I graduated from Minot High. I went to Concordia College in beautiful downtown Moorhead, Minnesota, and then law school at University of North Dakota. And then from there, private practice of law, and a couple years I was assistant attorney general, and then I got into the TV business. My father, Chester, was the owner of 3 TV stations at the time. In 1984, he bought Dickinson, and he needed somebody to run it, and I was the cheapest person on the payroll, so he hired me. So I went out there, and I was in Dickinson for 3 years, and then I came up to Minot, and for 30 years I ran 4 TV stations. I was president and chairman of the board. And last year in February, well, actually February of this year, the family sold out, and it was bought by Nexstar. And I'm out of the TV business, left 1 full-time job, and well, I used to have 2 full-time jobs, which is the Norse Kuss Fest and running a TV station, and now I just run the Norse Kuss Fest. I'm president, and it kind of runs itself, so when I say I run it, it's somewhat of a misnomer.
Yeah. Well, for people who may not know, what is the Norse Kuss Fest?
The Norse Kuss Fest was a Scandinavian celebration. It's Norwegian Harvest Fest, and it was started by my father and several of his friends 40 years ago. A little bit more of the background. It was about the time when that TV show came on ABC called Roots. And people, you know, he was very interested in his roots and where he came from. And we never, other than having lutefisk for Christmas growing up, the Norwegian, our ethnic background wasn't really celebrated that much. We were aware that we were Norwegian and things like that, but he focused on it, and he just decided that there was a celebration there, and not only of Norway, but of all Scandinavian, and it was just to people should take pride in their background, you know, whether you're Irish or English or German or whatever. It was an encouragement to people should check out, you know, where they came from and what their relatives and ancestors did many, many years ago, and go visit them. And my father made probably 8-10 trips back to Norway and found relatives he didn't know existed, and bonded with them very, very well. And so he wanted to, you know, kind of talk up the ethnic background, and so they started it. A bunch of Lutheran churches got together and sold Scandinavian, Norwegian things, and it just grew from there.
Yeah. With that said, over the years, it's been going on since the late 70s, I assume. Yeah. You're coming up on an anniversary. We may talk about that in a little while. But you know, how have you funded it?
We fund it internally, basically 100%. We have corporate sponsors. We have ticket sales, and we have donations. We get no government funding. We have insisted on that because we want to make it on our own. And so we pride ourselves in the fact that we basically take no government money, and we fund it internally.
Well, and David, when we talk about a festival, I mean, how many people come to this on an average year? Because this is not just a walk in the park.
Yeah, yeah. What it is we have over probably 50,000 people that show up in the course of the 4 days, and it's just They come from all over the country and Canada and overseas. We get a lot of Norwegians, we get Scandinavians that come over. And the main people draw are within the few states, Minnesota, South Dakota, Montana, North Dakota. But we have a lot of Canadian friends, and they enjoy coming down. And we just got to do something about the Canadian dollar.
Well, we all would like that to happen.
Yeah.
But, tell us about the upcoming Husk Fest. When is it? And, of course, where is it?
It's in Minot. It starts on Wednesday, September 30th, 29th or 30th. I can't think of off the top of my head. And it runs for 4 days, a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We have 2 main concerts in the main stage every day, and but we always have to emphasize to people that we have these main stage acts, and I'll talk about them a little later, but we have so much more going on. We have side stages, we have food, we have Viking reenactors. We're going to have 50 of them. They bring their whole garb, they bring their swords. We have a Viking village. We have Samis that come in from northern Norway, and they used to be called Laplanders. And they come and they bring their culture, and it's just a lot of fun to watch all these side stages and these reenactors and these people from almost like different worlds. And they come and they meet here, and it's just a great, fun time.
Yeah. Well, you talked about it. What are some of the highlights? I understand Daniel O'Donnell's coming back this year.
I'd like to thank my friends at Prairie Public for giving us a whole bunch of ideas, because Danny O'Donnell is, of course, one of them, and we've had Celtic Thunder, which is an offshoot of all the Celtic shows. But it's one of those, this year we have people like Sarah Evans, Emmylou Harris, Daniel O'Donnell, Dwight Yoakam, and then Chicago has been a real big seller this year. Tommy James and the Shondells. I'm the one who's in charge of the oldies but goodies. I'm the one that picks that, and then Big and Rich. And those are our main stage acts. One does it about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The other one will do in the evening at 7 o'clock. And it's something that is, the main stage is kind of what the publicity is, and people respond to that. And then we get questions like, well, how do I get into the rest of the festival? And we say, no. You buy a ticket to see the main stage, and you get everything else included. And you get all these side stages, all these events. We have stuff like the university, Husk Fest University. You can learn to knit and crochet and rose mallet. That's $20 or something like that. But it's just, you can go see the Viking Village for no additional cost. You can see the Sami exhibition at no additional cost. And it's just a lot of fun. And if you don't want to take in the main stage, then you just pay a general admission and you see everything but the main stage. So it's a festival. And that's what it is. And it's almost like Disneyland. You pay one price and you get to see everything.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, you said it was in Minot, but I don't think you let us know. It's on the State Fairgrounds.
State Fairgrounds.
But so you have a lot going on. And we talked about the crowds, huge crowds. But how has it been the past few years, of course, with sort of the oil hit and then the recession? And so, I mean, how have your crowds been?
Well, in 2010, we had the biggest year ever. We had Alan Jackson, everything like that, and we broke all of our attendance records. And then, of course, it evens out because that next year, 2011, we had the flood and devastated the city of Minot and really hurt the North Husk Fest. The hotels filled up with refugees, so to speak, and it was just difficult to get volunteers, but my father decided that we needed to carry on. It was something that was part of our tradition in Minot, and we carried on and we did it that way. And slowly but surely we built up every year since. But a lot of people lost their homes, you know, and it's difficult to get into the festive mood when you're looking at a home that had 5 feet of water in it. And a lot of people moved away. A lot of people, it hurt them financially. I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars. But slowly but surely, we have built back up, and this year is going to be probably our best year since 2011.
Okay, well, good. Glad to hear that.
Yeah.
You know, what makes this festival or activity, or what I want to call it, just it makes it so special that people just keep coming back every year?
Well, I call it the second happiest place in the world. Disneyland would sue me. Somebody had to have the happiest place in the world, but so I took the second happiest place. But it's just a lot of fun. I mean, we have 4,000 volunteers, and they know the Huss Fest. A lot of them have been working for the Huss Fest for 20, 30 years. They enjoy putting it on. They enjoy smiling. They enjoy showing people around, and they enjoy the fun that other people have. We have had people that have come to the North Huss Fest from out of state for over 30 years, haven't missed a one, because it's almost like family now. It's better than a family reunion, but it's almost like family, and they come and they thoroughly enjoy themselves.
And we said, I know you recognize people from year to year. You see some of the same people, but you also have something special, and I don't know when it was created, but the Scandinavian American Hall of Fame.
We honor people that are of Scandinavian heritage, and we've had people like Walter Mondale and Clint Hill and just a whole range of people, military, that we've brought in and we have honored as representative of great pride in their ethnic background, Scandinavian. And so we do that every year. We honor about 3 people. This year we're honoring Stein Ove Fenna, who is the president of Tupperware in Canada and the U.S., and he's Norwegian born. And so he'll be there. And Beatrice Oja Kangas, who is a Finnish cook and has written many, many books, famous throughout kind of the world. A lot of people follow her cooking books. And so she's going to be there. And then we have the Stengen family out of Watford City, North Dakota. Bankers, and they've been they're on their 4th generation now. They've been in Watford City since the turn of the century, and they have really been investors in Western North Dakota. And for 4 generations, the Stengen family has helped build up Western North Dakota. And if you go out to Watford City, you will see what this family has done, not only for Watford City, but for all of Western North Dakota. So we're going to honor them.
And I know you've recognized some of the Lawrence Welk group, Norma Zimmer, NPR, John Idsty.
Oh, yeah.
So there's been a lot of people that have been recognized through the years.
And this year we have somebody coming back who is in the Scandinavian American Hall of Fame, and that's Clint Hill. And for those people that don't know who Clint Hill is, in 1963, in Dallas, there's a photograph of when John Kennedy was going down the street in Dallas and shots rang out, and you see this black and white photo of a Secret Service man a few seconds after the shot jumping off his car, which was right behind, and grabbing onto the back of the car that held Jack Kennedy, the President Kennedy, and Jacqueline Kennedy, and he grabbed it and he pulled himself up and threw his body over the President and Mrs. Kennedy. And what an historic moment, a terribly historic moment. And he was right there, and he talks about it. And he talked about, he's had about 2 or 3 books, and he's got a book this year called 5 Presidents. He comes back to the Huss Fest. He talks about his books. He talks about his experience and signs his books, and just a wonderful, wonderful man. very down to earth, an ordinary man that was put in extraordinary circumstances, and he rose to the occasion. And you get to meet him, you get to talk to him, and he's coming back this year, and he'll give several lectures about what it was like to work security for Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, and Bush.
Yeah. So it's one thing you can say about this, even if you're not of Scandinavian heritage, you can still have a great time at the Huss Fest if you come out and learn things and be entertained. So, but I want to, we don't have a lot of time left. Your dad helped start this. He's not, and you have a Chester Award now. What is that?
Chester Award is for the, we have over 100 chairmen, and the Chester Award goes to the Chairman of the Year out of the 100, and the Chester goes to the Volunteer of the Year. And so we hand that out, and it's people love it. I mean, it honors them, and then the person that should be classified as probably Chairman of the Year most years is Pam Davey. Those people that know the Huss Fest, they know how important she is, that she really is one of the world's best organizers, and very modest, and that's why I'm here and she's not. But it's something that Pam Davey is extremely important to the Huss Fest, and it's just it's fun to work with her.
You're absolutely right, and we've worked with her, and I enjoy that, and she does a great job. But you know, you said staffing. You only have about 3 full-time staff doing this.
We have,
and
3,
you're not one of them.
I'm not one of them.
Paid staff.
And actually, we have 3 full-time, and one of them is not Pam Davey either. And so, but that's all it is. But it is literally 11 months out of the year that it takes to put this thing together and put all the operation, work all the 4,000 volunteers and all the acts and everything like that.
Could you do it without the volunteers?
We could not do it without the volunteers. That they call it Chester's Army, and that was a good way to put it.
David, we only have about a minute left, but you know, talk about again real quick the things you're going to experience, just the atmosphere you have when you walk in.
A festival. Just think of a festival. Think of a fun festival with happy people, being entertained all the time, being fed all the time, and learning new things about Scandinavia and the history, and seeing some great entertainment. That's what the Norsk Huss Fest is all about.
You know, Minot is known for 2 things, it seems like. Or it's known for many things, but it does the State Fair and the Huss Fest. 2 huge events in a town that size. That is just tremendous for Minot, North Dakota.
It's tremendous for Minot, North Dakota, and the people from the outside, I don't think appreciate how much work it goes into it. And it is a lot of work, but it's fun work.
Well, good luck. But if people want more information, where can they go? Who can they contact?
NorskHussFest.com, and you can you can order tickets. Some of the shows are getting really tight, so I would encourage you to order it earlier rather than later.
All right. David, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Stay tuned for more. Dickinson, North Dakota bronze sculptor Linda Little is a living testament to how a life-changing event can lead to something unexpected. Following a debilitating car crash in 1996, Linda went through therapy that included learning how to sculpt. 20 years later, her bronze sculptures are wonders to behold. Here's a profile of Linda and how she creates wondrous forms in bronze.
So I was introduced to a class that was coming up from a teacher, Valentino Korhovo, a master from Russia. And he literally took my hands once again in his and said, I will teach these to do what this cannot. When we start out in sculpting, we have to build ourselves an armature, which is generally made from metal, iron, wire. Then I take the basic form of the horse, and this is what I'm going to end up with. I'm the first step of 7. And then there are 7 subcontractors that work for myself and other bronze sculptors. And the conclusion of those steps is they will pour in the 2200 degree metal and it will take the shape of the wax. Then at the very end of that, then we base a product. And in my case, I use sometimes metal, which you've seen outside here, or the wooden walnut bases. I believe part of the reason that this interview came about is because of a head trauma that I received in 1996. And prior to sculpting, my career was in purchasing, municipal purchasing. To make a very long story short, we're traveling down I-25 to DIA Airport to pick up my son, who had visited his stepsister. And in fact, we never made it. A young man ran a red light, I was making a left-hand turn, and he broadsided us. That was life-changing. I had a family yet. I had a husband who was feeding me and did for 6 months. I had a son that was 15, and he could not figure out why his mother was the way she was, because there wasn't anything bleeding, there wasn't any bandages, all of it was internal. I found that change for me was learning a new career. There was a gentleman in Colorado who was accepting 8 students, who, God bless him, accepted me as his student. And actually what has happened, it's like all professions, once we become used to doing something, it becomes a matter of just doing it. We don't think about it. And in some cases, that's what happens now. My hands will work and my mind doesn't have to engage. I made a phone call. I understood that there was a veterans project going to happen in Dickinson, North Dakota, and said I would be interested in volunteering on the board to gather funds in the community. Would I be invited to the meeting? And she said, of course, we'd love for you to come. I came to the meeting, and it ended up that they asked me if I'd be interested in presenting design work for the project. And I said, of course I would. When I asked my husband, the highest form of respect would be a salute.
I told her that when she was talking about doing that I didn't want any part of another war memorial where they had the people kneeling down, looked like they just got lost or got their butts whipped. When she came up with this, I said, this is wonderful. You got somebody actually paying tribute to the soldiers rather than somebody sitting there looking like they've just been whipped.
I admire my husband for the fact that he has gone to Vietnam 2 tours back to back and also was in Desert Storm for a year. That to me is a true warrior. I wanted to honor my husband, so I found photographs of him coming home from Vietnam, and I used his face in the project. And my son, I used his hands. I was contracted by 2 families here in Dickinson. They approached me and asked me if I would consider doing a TR bust. And I said absolutely yes. And I suggested perhaps a bust. And they loved the idea and gave me complete creative freedom, and halfway into the process they reviewed it, liked it, and it was accepted, and several months later we bronzed the project, and it now has found its home in the Dickinson Foundation. An angelic piece today, particularly this one, The Simple Touch, would be one that I would, she actually is my most favorite. My husband has said that he thinks that's my masterpiece. I feel a big responsibility for, as an individual that has survived a traumatic injury, that there is something that we can do, and I'm very fortunate that I have my limbs and my hands, and I've seen incredible people work with less that have done phenomenal things. So I go on record to suggest to people that it's very important that we keep the arts alive and well. So I am truly privileged. I believe that God allowed the bump on my head so I could be who He intended me to be.
Well, that's all we have on Prairie Post this week. And as always, thanks for watching.
Funding provided by the North Dakota Council on the Arts and by the members of Prairie Public.